Israel. Welcome to Voice of Our Fathers. Tonight's topic is Passover, better known as Pesach. And right now I'm going to introduce my guest tonight.
I'm Elder Shaddai ben Israel. Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom. I'm Elder Aharon ben Israel. Shalom.
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 And I'm Obayahu ben Yehuda, Israel. Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom. So tonight's topic is Passover. And we're going to deal with it from what's written regarding Passover throughout the scriptures. We're going to try our best to help people understand exactly what Passover is, why you should keep it, what time you should keep it, things of that nature.
Okay.
So we're going to let Elder Haron start us off tonight with some comments.
Shalom.
Shalom, Elder.
Shalom.
People have a misconception about Passover, what it is and what it signifies. But we're going to clear this up for you tonight. First of all, turn to Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. And I want to read something to you. I'm going to start at verse 1. It says, "And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and say to them, The feast of Yahweh, which you shall proclaim to be holy convocation, these are my feasts." I want to explain to you that these are not the feast of Moshe.
Okay.
These are the Father's feast. That's the most important thing you must understand about this. Skip down to verse 4. It says, "These are the feasts of Yahweh, holy convocation, which you shall proclaim at their appointed time." Stop. Now, it says you shall proclaim this at its appointed time.
Okay.
Turn to Exodus, the 12th chapter.
Exodus.
We're going to start at verse 1. We're going to walk you through this because it's important that you understand what is going on here.
That's right.
It says, Yahweh said to Moshe and Aharon in the land of Mizraim, or Egypt, "This month shall mark for you the beginning of months." I want to stop right there. I'm reading for you out of the Tanakh, or the Holy Scriptures. And the reason I'm reading this from the Tanakh, because the Tanakh is a direct translation from Hebrew or Hebrew to English.
Okay.
Okay.
And it says, "This month shall mark for you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year for you." The first month of the year. So that means that January, in actuality, is not the first of the month
Not at all.
for you, as far as the Father goes.
Which one is it?
Huh?
Which one is?
Well, it's called Abib,
Right.
which means green ear. It's a season.
Right.
Okay.
But we're going to get into that a little later. It says, speak to the whole community of Israel and say, on the 10th of this month, each of you shall take a lamb to a family, a lamb to a household. That's important because we're going to, it's a whole lot to this. And you got to take your ears and be attuned to what's being said here.
That's right. That's right.
Because people have misunderstood this. We're going to clarify this for you tonight.
Yep.
Going back to Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, verse 5. It says, on the 14th day of the first month at twilight is Yahweh's Passover. Now stop. Remember what I read in Exodus. It says, this shall be the first month unto you.
Okay.
Then it says here in Leviticus 23, it says on the 14th day
Okay.
of the first month at twilight.
Mm-hmm.
That's important
Okay.
because people are under the assumption that the whole day, the whole 14th day is Passover.
Not so.
And it's not.
Right.
Notice what I just read to you.
That's right.
It said first month at twilight
Right.
is Yahweh's Passover.
That's right.
And then it goes on to say, and on the 15th day of the same month is the Feast of Unleavened Bread to Yahweh. Why is that important? Because these two, this is something that runs together.
Okay.
Passover, unleavened bread.
Cain.
Huh? Keep this in mind.
Right. Right.
Then it says, 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread. 7 days. Now, let's go backwards. It says on the 14th day at twilight is the Father's Passover.
Okay. Okay.
Some books say between the evenings. Why is that important? Turn to Genesis.
I'm glad you
See,
cleared that
we finna give you some time references here.
up. Okay.
Because it's important that you understand something.
Say Genesis.
We're finna clear up all this nonsense about Good Friday, Easter.
Okay. So Elder, we can say twilight means evening.
Right,
Okay. I just want to clear that for the audience.
right.
Okay.
Or it says between the evening.
Between the evening.
Right.
Okay.
It's important that we understand that. Okay. I'm going to start at Genesis 1 and 1. It says, in the beginning, Elohim created the heavens and the earth.
Uh-huh.
The earth was without form and void, and darkness was on the face of the deep. And the spirit of Elohim was hovering over the face of the water. Then it says, then Elohim said, let there be light, and there was light. And Elohim saw that the light was, that it was light, that it was good. And Elohim divided the light from the darkness. Elohim called the light day, and the darkness he called night. Now this is what's important, what I'm getting ready to read to you. So the evening and the morning were the first day. What does that tell you? It tells you that the Father's Day starts from evening to morning.
Dang.
Not the other way around,
Right.
but it starts in the evening.
Yes, it does. Right here in Genesis.
So what it says is that at twilight or between the evenings. So that means that Passover technically is between the evenings, or 3 hours.
I would say.
We're going to get to all of that. Just remember that.
Okay.
It's approximately 3 hours between the evening of the 14th going out, and the evening of the 15th coming in.
Okay.
So Pesach is not a whole day.
That's
Not
right.
at all.
It's only 3 hours long.
I'll say something else.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Okay. Twilight is the Passover, just like Elder said. And that twilight, in terms of time, is approximately 3 hours.
Okay.
Now, it says twilight, it says in the evening, between the two evenings.
Okay.
Twilight is evening, and it is a evening that is half light, half dark.
Okay.
But then when it's completely dark, that is another type of an evening.
Right.
The evening that twilight is called in the Hebrew is Erab, E-R-A-B.
Right.
So that is called the time between the time of the two lights. Twilight is Erab, E-R-A-B. When it is total darkness, it's called Lila.
Right.
So total darkness is Lila, and Erab, or twilight, is Erab. So the time between the two Lilas is what? Is Erab, or twilight.
Correct.
Very good.
Thank you, Elder.
Very good.
Now, again, it's important that you understand this,
Okay.
that it says between the evenings. Now, we've established that.
Right.
So let's continue to read.
Okay. Where we at here?
We're going back to Exodus, the 12th chapter.
Okay.
Now, I want you to listen to this. I'm starting at verse 3 because this is a lot for you to take in. But I guarantee you that when we finish this, you will understand what Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread are all about.
Okay.
Okay.
It says, speak to the whole community of Israel and say to them, on the 10th of this month, each of them shall take a lamb to a family, a lamb to a household. But if the household is too small for a lamb, let him share one with a neighbor who dwells nearby. In proportion to the number of persons, you shall contribute for the lamb, according to what each household will eat. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a yearling male. You may take it from the sheep or from the goats. You shall keep watch over it until the 14th day of this month. Now, remember now, we read, what does it say? On the 14th day of the first month.
Okay.
This is your Passover, between the evenings.
Right.
Now, but now remember what this said. It said, on the 10th day of that month, everybody shall take their lamb
So on the 10th day.
and hold it.
Okay.
Now remember, in times past, we told you that 3 times a year, all males were to go up to Jerusalem, and they're not supposed to appear before the Father empty. Why? Because Jerusalem is the place where the Father placed his name. Huh? So now, that means that where were they celebrating Passover? In Jerusalem.
Jerusalem.
Huh? But it say on the 10th day of that month, everybody was to take their lamb and hold it till the 14th day.
So the lamb has to be with the people on the 10th.
Correct.
Remember
Correct now. Remember that. It's very important that you remember this,
It's vital.
because we're also not only talking about a physical lamb, but we're also talking about Yeshua, the Messiah.
Okay.
And there are things that are going to be similar here that we're going to get to.
Very good.
But now, that's right. But just remember that.
Okay.
Now,
Since you said that, I just want to remind the people that the Messiah was hung on a tree
of course.
for 3 hours.
Yep.
So
Well, no, it was more than 3.
it was more than 3.
Yeah, it was more than 3. It was
thought
really 6.
Okay, from the 6th to the 9th.
Right. From the
From the ninth.
from the 3rd to the 9th.
Okay. Okay.
Right. From the 3rd hour of the day,
3rd hour of the day.
which was 9 o'clock,
Right.
to the 9th hour,
So we would
which
say
was 3.
that would be between the evenings.
No.
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 Okay.
That's something different. That
Okay.
we're gonna get to that.
Okay.
But it's important that we get all this down.
Okay.
Because people have misunderstood Passover. And they think Passover is to the Messiah. But we're going to find out who Passover is really to.
Okay.
Now, the Messiah was an integral part in this. We're going to get to all of that.
Okay.
Because it's important that you really understand Passover.
Okay.
Very good.
Again, it says, you shall keep watch over it until the 14th day. I'm back in Exodus, the 12th chapter. It says, you shall keep watch over it, your lamb or your goat from the herd of the year, of this 14th day of this month, and all the assembly congregation of Israel shall slaughter it at twilight. Now, there's something else that becomes clear. That lamb that you've taken cannot be slaughtered until what? Twilight. Huh?
Right.
Now, Obadiah had just said to us that the Messiah was on the stake.
Right.
He was on there for 6 hours
Right.
until the 9th hour. Huh?
Right.
Now remember we said Passover was 3 hours.
Okay.
Huh?
Right.
Remember that now. All this is integral
Okay.
because we're going to see something that where you might not have understood, but you're gonna.
Okay. Okay.
Again, it says, they shall take some of the blood and put it on the 2 doorposts and the lintels of the house in which they are to eat it. Now, what we're reading about here is the first Passover that the children of Israel were celebrating.
First one.
Right, because they were in Egypt or Mizraim, and they were getting ready to leave. So the Father was bringing the last plague down, which was the plague to kill the firstborn of Pharaoh's household, and as well as the firstborn of all the animals that they had.
Okay.
Remember this now.
Okay.
This is important that you get this.
Okay.
And what does it say? They shall take the blood and put it on the doorpost
Okay.
of the house. Why? We're going to continue to read this because people don't really get what this Passover thing is about.
Okay.
It says, they shall take some of the blood and put it on the 2 doorposts and the lintels of the house in which they are to eat it. They shall eat the flesh that same night. They shall eat it roasted over fire with unleavened bread. Again, stop. Remember that it said on the 15th day, there shall be what? Unleavened bread eaten.
Right.
Why? Because the 15th day is the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread.
Right.
Now you begin to see the pattern that's forming here. Passover, unleavened bread. Why? Because they had the unleavened bread with the Passover lamb.
Okay.
And as we read, we're going to see that they had to gird themselves. They had to have their clothes on, everything, because they was eat what? The unleavened bread. It couldn't have rose because why? They didn't have time for it to rise. It was the bread of haste, as they would call.
Make haste.
Unleavened. Why? Because they had to get up out of there.
Right,
You
right.
see what I'm saying?
Time for the ride.
Yeah, they didn't have time for it to sit and need.
Okay.
Again, it says, they shall take some of the blood and put it on the two doorposts and the lintels of the house in which they shall eat it. They shall eat the flesh that same night. They shall eat it roasted over the fire with unleavened bread and with bitter herbs. Why? Now, remember now, this is setting up something. See, because I've heard many people say, oh, well, we can't celebrate them old days no more. No, because you don't know how.
Okay.
And the formula is right here for you.
Okay.
It's sitting right here. But, oh, I forgot, the law is dead for you.
Right, right.
So you don't read what's here so that you'll know how to celebrate Yahweh's Passover and Feast of Unleavened Bread.
That's right.
Huh?
That's right.
Then it says, do not eat any of it raw or cooked in any way with water, but roast it, head, legs, and entrails over the fire. You shall not leave any of it over until morning. If any of it is left until morning, you shall burn it. So that means you had to eat it. They had to eat it that night because they was getting ready to push out.
Okay.
Again, it says, this is how you shall eat it. Your loins gird, your sandals on your feet, and your staffs in your hand. And you shall eat it hurriedly. It is a Passover offering to Yahweh. Oh, who is this Passover offering to? Yahweh, the Father. It's to the Father.
Yep.
Understand this.
Okay.
This is to the Father.
And when it says your loins girded, that means with your clothes on.
That's right.
It's nighttime.
That's right.
You gotta have your clothes on so you get ready to get out of there.
That's right. And listen, it says, for that night I will go through the land of Egypt and strike down every firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast. And I will mete out punishment to all the gods of Egypt. Now,
That's well.
listen to this. This is very important.
Yeah, it is.
The Father was making war against the gods of Egypt.
Yes, he was.
And the last god for him to make war with was Pharaoh. Because Pharaoh considered himself God on earth.
Yep, I sure did.
And remember before that, what did Pharaoh tell the midwives to do to the children of Israel's babies?
Kill the man child.
Kill all the males, but all the women you save alive.
Kill them all.
That's what they doing us today.
But remember now, oh, this is just old story. This don't mean nothing.
Okay.
But you better listen to this. It says, I will mete out punishment to all the gods of Egypt. I, Yahweh, and the blood on the house where you are staying shall be a sign for you. When I see the blood, I will pass over you, so that no plague will destroy you when I strike the land of Egypt. Oh, now you understand why the blood was over the doorpost.
Right.
So that when the death angel passed by, he would see the blood and go by. But if it wasn't no blood on it, it would strike. Remember this now. This is very important for you. Because the blood of the Messiah is what protects you now.
Okay.
Oh, but you don't believe that.
Oh, that's
Because he ain't
anonymous.
came yet.
Oh, okay.
This day shall be to you one of remembrance. You shall celebrate it as a festival to Yahweh throughout the ages. you shall celebrate it as an instruction for all times. What does all mean?
Forever.
Forever.
Olam.
Huh?
Olam.
And it's to who? Yahweh. Understand this. This is important. It says 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread. On the very first day you shall remove leaven from your house. For whoever eats leavened bread from the first day to the 7th day, that person shall be cut off from Israel. Hey,
Father meant business.
hey, he still means business. Because remember now, the Feast of Unleavened Bread is celebrated for 7 days.
Okay.
For 7 days with your food you shall eat unleavened bread. No leaven shall be found among you. Huh? Then it says, I'm back in Leviticus 23, verse 7.
3:7. Okay.
Right. It says, on the first day you shall have a holy convocation. You shall do no customary work on it. But you shall offer an offering made by fire to Yahweh for 7 days. The 7th day shall be holy convocation. You shall do no customary work on it. Now, you say, well, we can't do that. And you're right. Because the Levitical priesthood is no more.
Okay.
But there is a way that can be done.
Okay.
But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself now.
Okay.
Again, Passover, Feast of Unleavened Bread.
Okay.
Remember now, the Father's Day starts in the evening, huh?
Right.
From evening to morning,
Right.
huh? This is Yah's Passover.
Okay.
So now, it says, on the 10th day you shall take a lamb,
Right.
huh? And hold it
Mm-hmm.
until the 14th day
Right.
at twilight,
Okay.
huh?
Okay.
Then you shall kill that lamb, huh? They had to kill a lamb, sprinkle the blood on their doorpost so that the Father would pass over them because they're getting ready to leave Egypt.
Okay.
Now, it says, you shall, I'm back in Exodus 12, verse 16. It says, you shall celebrate a sacred occasion on the first day and a sacred occasion on the 7th day. No work at all shall be done on them. Only whatever person is to eat, that alone may be prepared for you. You shall observe the Feast of Unleavened Bread. For on this very day I brought your ranks out of the land of Egypt. You shall observe this day throughout the ages as an instruction for all times. In the first month, from the 14th day of the month, at evening, you shall eat unleavened bread until the 21st day of the first month at evening. No leaven shall be found in your house for 7 days. For whosoever eats what is leavened, that person shall be cut off from the community of Israel, whether he is a stranger or a citizen of the country. You shall eat nothing leavened. In all your settlements you shall eat unleavened bread. Now, we've just went through Passover, Feast of Unleavened Bread. Why is that important? Why? Because that's the first, it says in the first month, on the 14th day of the month. So now, you would think that he's talking about January the 14th. But we know better.
Right.
Not so.
Because we're going by the Father's time and not by man's time.
Right.
So that the first month, or green ear as it talks about,
Right.
comes between what we call March, April.
Okay.
Huh? That is what we know as springtime, which the earth is renewing itself.
New.
Okay.
New birth.
Right. So this is what we're talking about here.
In that first season.
Right. In the beginning. So it says the first month. On the 14th day of that month is the Father's Passover.
I'd like to reiterate something right here, too.
Very good, Elder.
Elder was reading where it says that no leaven shall be found in your house. That means that anything, any articles that you have in your house that contains leaven or yeast, it should be removed.
Correct.
And the time that you spend to do that is during the twilight time.
Oh, okay.
You see, so when that twilight time comes, which is Passover, that's when you must remove, and you should remove all the articles containing yeast or leaven in your house. Before what? Before Lila comes, or before the 15th falls, or before total darkness falls. So that's the time that you spend to do that.
But explain, Elder, or elders, why is it important for you to do this?
Well, first of all,
So a lot of people don't understand the significance other than it's another day. A lot of people just believe it's just a feast.
why it's important to observe Passover?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, first of all, we see here, Elder just read, that Yah gives us a command to do so, because this is one of his holy days.
Right. That's first. That's one thing.
So because it is a command from the Father to do it, then we must do it. But most people don't feel as though that we have to do it because that's old and that's done away with.
Right.
Right.
Now, concerning Pesach or Passover, there's only one thing. There's only one thing to this day, as we sit here right now in 2004. There's only one thing concerning Pesach that we do not have to do. And that one thing is when we say that the rituals of the law have been done away with.
Right.
The rituals of the law, the things that the what? The priest did.
Right.
What did the priest do?
The sacrifice.
He's the one that sacrificed the what? The lamb. We don't have priests anymore. Therefore, there's nothing to what? Sacrifice. And since the only thing that we what? Sacrifice was the lamb, then now we don't what? We don't have the lamb.
That's right.
Because you can't eat it raw.
That's right.
So you can't sacrifice it. We're not Levites. We don't know who Levites are.
And the priest was the one who had to roast it.
Exactly, exactly. They're the ones who had to do all of the rituals by fire.
That's right.
So since the rituals have been done away with,
Okay.
that will be construed as what? The Old Testament.
Yeah.
But but observing Passover, eating the bitter herbs and eating the unleavened bread, that is not Old Testament. That's simply the covenant or the Testament.
That's right.
That's still good.
That's
the
it.
only thing that is old is that part that which we don't have to do anymore.
That's right.
That's what the Old Testament is. It's not the whole book.
No, it's not.
So only pieces of what we just went over, the sacrificing part, is what's been done away with. But everything else, we still must do. But Yah said, not only forever, wherever you live.
That's right. Forever, throughout your generations.
Okay.
That's what it says.
Okay.
Now, 12:24.
Exodus 12.
Right. It says, you shall observe this as an institution for all time, for you and for your descendants.
Forever.
Forever. It says for all times, for you and your descendants. We are the descendants of these people,
Okay.
whether you want to believe that or not.
Yes, we are.
That's where I was going.
Yeah.
That's why I was asking.
Right.
Explain that.
Right.
Very good.
This is who we are. And when you enter the land that Yahweh will give you, as he promised, you shall observe this rite.
The land that would incorporate.
That's right.
Jerusalem.
And when your children ask you, what do you mean by this rite? You shall say, it is the Passover sacrifice to Yahweh, because he passed over the houses of the Israelites in Egypt when he smote the Egyptians, but saved our houses. Now, notice what it said. Your descendants, you're to do this.
Okay.
And what does it say? Teach this to your children. And when your children ask you, why are you doing this?
Right.
You can tell them why.
Just right there.
It's right here.
Simple.
Simple. And whose Passover is this? This is Yahweh's Passover.
Father.
This is for the Father. And that's what people don't get. They don't get this. This is showing the Father that you remember. It's in your mind. You remember what he did for you when you was in bondage.
That's exactly what it means and why we do it.
That's right.
But by we still being in bondage, it has just that much more significance.
Of course. We're still showing our obedience.
That's why we still must do it.
Right.
Or in the land of our bondage.
Right. Yeah, we still in bondage. Don't make no mistake about this.
Mental bondage.
Right.
And even if we were not in bondage, we will still have to do it, because we often think of our forefathers in the conditions that they were in the land as slaves. We still have to thank the Father for doing what he did when he released our forefathers and got them out of there. We still have to give him thanks for that. And like the elder just said, we do this because we are showing Yah thanks for delivering us out of the hands of the Egyptians, out of slavery. This is the whole meaning and purpose for Passover, to remember that Yah did this for our forefathers, and he did it for us. So if he did it for them, he did it for us.
That's right.
So we are to remember this.
Okay.
And that's why it's so important.
Yes.
And so whenever a person's talking about, don't do it, you don't have to do it, now you're really saying that we don't have to remember. And we don't have to thank the Father for doing what he did.
That's right.
And I would never want to be caught in a situation like that.
That's right.
I would never want to be thought of, or I would never want y'all to look at me and say, oh, you're not giving me thanks. Y'all seeks glory.
Of course.
Y'all wants glory.
That's what it's about.
See, so, and the thing is, and we don't do that, we're not giving him his props.
That's right.
We're not doing it.
His glory.
You're taking it from him.
Okay.
Let's go forward. Turn to Matthew the 16th chapter.
Matthew 16. All right.
Because people have misunderstood about the Messiah also. Here we go. 16:1. It says, then the Pharisees and Sadducees came and testing him, asked that he would show them a sign from heaven. He answered and said to them, when it is evening, you say it will be fair weather, for the sky is red. And in the morning, it will be foul weather today, for the sky is red and threatening. He said, hypocrites, you know how to discern the face of the sky, but you cannot discern the signs of the times. Then it says, a wicked and adulterous generation seeks after a sign, and no sign shall be given to it except the sign of the prophet Jonah. And then it said, and he left them and departed. Now, the sign of Jonah. What is the sign of Jonah? Well, let's go back and look at the prophet Jonah.
Okay.
Because see, people don't understand this here. And I found that they never understood the sign of Jonah. Chapter 1. Let's start at verse 10.
Okay.
It says, then the men were exceedingly afraid and said to him, why have you done this? For the men knew that he fled from the presence of Yahweh because he had told them. Now, notice that people, you've heard the story about Jonah.
Mm-hmm.
Jonah was supposed to go to Nineveh and warn the people of Nineveh.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't want to go.
Okay.
So he got on the ship with some men. And all of a sudden the sea done ran up and everything. It says, then they said to him, what shall we do to you that the sea may be calm for us?
Mm-hmm.
For the sea was growling more tempestuously.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the sea was acting up. Well, you know, that was the Father shaking the thing.
Okay.
Because Jonah called himself hiding.
Yeah.
He didn't want to go. He didn't want to obey.
He got found.
See, yep. So, and he said to them, pick me up and throw me into the sea. Then the sea will become calm for you. For I know that this great tempest is because of me. Now, Jonah realized what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
Then it said, nevertheless, the men rowed harder to return to land, but they could not, for the sea continued to grow more tempestuously against them. Therefore they cried out to Yahweh and said, we pray, O Yahweh, please do not let us perish for this man's life, and do not charge us with innocent blood for you. O Yahweh, have done as it pleased you. So they picked up Jonah and threw him into the sea, and the sea ceased from its rage. Then the men feared Yahweh exceedingly, and offered a sacrifice to Yahweh and took vows. Now, here's the important thing. Remember we read it said about the sign of Jonah.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to this. It says, now Yahweh had prepared a great fish to swallow Jonah. And Jonah was in the belly of the fish 3 days and 3 nights. Stop. It said he was in the belly of the fish for 3 days and 3 nights. The Messiah just told you that an evil and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign, but no sign shall be given, but what? The sign of Jonah. Mm-hmm. So he spoke of himself being in the heart of the earth for 3 days and 3 nights. You cannot, again, let me say this to you very clearly.
Make it plain, Elder. Make it plain.
Right. You cannot get 3 days and 3 nights from Friday afternoon to Sunday morning. I don't care what you do, how you slice it and dice it. It does not work.
Now, I want to read something real quick right here.
Go ahead.
And here we see Yahshua saying himself what the sign was.
Yeah.
Okay? In Matthew, the 12th chapter, we can look right at the 39th verse.
Okay.
Because what Elder just read was that Yeshua talked about the sound of Jonah, but he didn't say what it was.
Yeah.
And then he read in Jonah where it says about the fish in the 3 days in the belly, but that wasn't Yeshua saying that. So here we can see Yeshua telling you what it is. He says, 39, but he answered and said to them, an evil and adulterous generation, like you said, seeks a sign, and no sign will be given to it except the sign of Jonah. That's where he said exactly what we're talking about right here. It says, for as Jonah was what? 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the great fish.
Right.
So will the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth.
That's it.
And you will never get 3 days and 3 nights from Friday to Sunday. It ain't gonna happen.
That Friday not good.
You'll never get 3 days and 3 nights out of
He
that.
made 2 days in one.
Yeah, 2 days.
Oh, when I heard that, I could have. Oh man.
Well, that was the
I can understand.
I heard that someone tried to explain that, how that happened. I'm not sure if everyone has heard that or not, but one brother tried to explain that to me, not to me so much, but he tried to explain that happened. The way it happened was when Yeshua was on the tree, or on the cross, as they say, at the 6th hour, it got dark. That's at 12 o'clock. The 6th hour is 12 o'clock. So at 12 o'clock, it got dark outside. So that was another night. That was another.
Yeah.
So then when it got light again, obviously it had to get light again. See, if that was night, then Yeshua could not have been our sacrifice.
No, he
He
couldn't.
would have been cursed, and guess what? Yah would have had to send another redeemer,
That's it.
because the law says a person who dies on a tree cannot be hanging on that tree.
And the Shabbat come in.
And night come, and nightfall.
At night, right.
At night. So if he was on the tree and it was night, or even considered night of another day, then he would have been cursed.
Yep.
And his blood would have been contaminated.
Right.
And we would have had to have another redeemer.
That's
What
it.
about hanging on the tree and the Shabbat coming in?
Yeah, well,
Look,
if it's coming in and it's dark, if it's night, no.
No. Can't do
The
it.
whole point is it can't be night. Can't be night.
So that writer that wrote that didn't understand the High Shabbat. That's how they come to the conclusion of
Right, yeah,
Right.
right. Well, see, that's the thing. They talk about preparation day.
Right.
And a preparation day is any day before a Shabbat,
Okay.
whether
Yeah.
it be a high Shabbat or whether it be a weekly Shabbat.
right,
That's it.
right.
See, a high Shabbat is a special Shabbat like Passover, unleavened
Right.
bread.
Change.
A weekly Shabbat is what? Is what we call
Regular.
Saturday.
That's right.
Right.
But any day, any Friday is a preparation day.
Right.
That's it.
And any day before
Shabbat.
a high Shabbat is a preparation day.
Preparation day. Change.
So in this case, Passover or Pesach is a preparation day. Because the next day is what? A high Shabbat.
Shabbat.
Because it's
That's
the
right.
15th day, and that's the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread.
Correct.
Change. So that's how they come up with Good Friday.
Right, because they
exactly.
knew the Shabbat was the next day, that Saturday, or the weekly Shabbat, which they grabbed hold to,
Exactly.
which lets you know that they know that the 7th day or Saturday is
Is
the actual
Shabbat.
Shabbat.
Exactly. And another thing too, why does it specifically say unleavened bread? Because symbolically, leaven represents sin. So essentially what we're saying here is get all the sin out of your house before the 15th comes in.
That's it.
So that's why we say unleavened bread. Unleavened bread is bread that has no yeast in it, because yeast represents sin.
Right.
Yeast represents sin, and yeast causes things to rise.
Right. So, the leaven,
So we have unleavened bread, which represents no sin. You see, that's why we say, and that's why Yah uses unleavened bread specifically, and that's why you're supposed to eat it for 7 days.
Right. And it was the bread of haste, as they
Right,
call it.
right.
Because it didn't have
It had
time to rise. That's
Exactly.
right. Because you was getting ready to get up
out.
out of there.
Right.
So you didn't have time to put it in your bowl and let it rise. And then,
That's
no.
right. That's right. Because that death angel was getting ready to come. And he came at what time? At midnight.
Yep.
At midnight.
That's
Because
it.
remember, it's night now.
Yep.
When the 15th comes in, it's night.
That's it.
Okay.
So at 12 o'clock that night, he was coming.
That's right.
And then early in the morning, you out of there.
That's it. Now, let's talk some more about the Messiah.
Very good.
Okay.
We know that the Messiah was perfect.
Okay.
Huh?
Okay.
We know that.
Right.
And it talks about, it says, the first man, Adam, was made what?
Corruptible.
Corruptible.
Huh?
Corruptible.
Corruptible.
Okay.
Or flesh.
Right.
The second man, Adam, was a quickening spirit, or a life-giving spirit.
Right.
So it took the second Adam to come to destroy what the first Adam did.
Okay.
See, that's quite significant when you understand that one man brought death into the world, and death by what? Sin, his transgression of the law. Another man by his obedience,
Right.
brought life,
That's that word again. That's that word again.
That's right, obedience.
right. So,
Obedience unto life,
That's right.
disobedience unto death.
Right. That's why the Father said, why did Yah say that this is my son, in whom I'm well pleased?
That's right.
Why? Because he was obedient.
That's right. But turn to Romans,
Romans.
the 8th chapter. We're going to go to y'all's prophet.
Okay.
But I know you didn't understand what he was talking about.
Half the time.
Yeah.
That's half the time.
Right. But we finna read something here that should make this very clear to you. Chapter 8, I'm going to start at verse 1. It says, there is therefore now no condemnation to those who are in Hamashiach Yeshua, who do not walk according to the flesh, but according to the Spirit. Then it says, for the law of the Spirit of life in Hamashiach Yeshua has made me free from the law of sin and death. Stop. Now, what am I saying? Well, you got to remember that before Adam sinned, there was no death.
Right.
Death did not exist.
That's right.
The Father gave Adam a command.
Okay.
He said, of all the trees in the garden you may freely eat. But from the tree that's in the midst of the garden, from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, you shall not eat. For in the day that you eat will be the day that you die. Now, That's a law. What the Father spoke, that was law. Huh? What did Shaul just tell you? Huh? The law of the Spirit of life has set you free from the law of what? Of sin and death.
Dang.
Right.
Huh? There was no death before Adam sinned.
That's right.
Right.
So when Adam sinned, the penalty that the Father prescribed, what? Came into being, death. Death came into actual being.
That was the judgment.
That was the judgment of that law. So now, Yeshua came to do what? Set you free from that. Not only that death, but what we call the second death, or the eternal death, the lake of fire.
Exactly.
They don't get that though. They never understood that.
And just touching on something. When the law was given, when the Mosaic law was given, there were penalties for certain sins. When a man killed someone, he broke the law. The penalty for that, or the judgment for that, was death.
That's it.
So when it says Yahshua has freed you from the curse of the law, which is death or dying for the fact that you committed a sin, killing someone, he freed you from that. So the bottom line of what we're saying here is this. Before Yeshua came, if a man killed another brother in cold blood, capital punishment was required, death. Now that we are on this side of Yeshua, and he's already come, if a man kills another brother in cold blood, we can't kill him. Because Yeshua has freed us from the penalty of what? Of sin, which is what? Death. And that sin is what? Murder in this case.
That's it.
So sin, death, he's freed us from that. Not only the sin,